Attachment of the neck of a rib. Attachments to the neck. The anterior surface is covered by costal pleura. Here is the anterior surface of a neck and attached and covered with costal pleura. The inferior costotransversus ligament is attached to the round's posterior surface. So here is a posterior surface of a neck and its green structure. Inferior costotransversus ligaments attached to the posterior and rough surface of the neck. The two laminae of the superior costotransversus ligaments are attached to the crest of the neck. Do you remember where is it, the crest of the neck? Yes, exactly. The upper border of the neck was crest of the neck. So here is a crest of the neck, and you can see here there is a superior costotransversus ligament attached to the crest of the neck. The lateral, and how about the article? How about the tubercle? We are talking about attachments, ligaments, and joints of a rib with a different structure like vertebrae. And different parts of the rib, such as head, neck, and tubercle, have a different articulation with vertebrae. How about articular? How about tubercle? Tubercle is here. It's next to the transverse process of a vertebrae. Attachment, the lateral non-articular part of the tubercle gives attachment to the lateral costotransversus ligament. Here is a lateral costotransversus ligament, and this point is non-articular part of a tubercle. And articular part of the tubercle is here, that is attached and joined with the transverse process of a vertebrae. How about the shaft? How about the shaft of the rib? Attachment on the shaft of a rib or body of the rib. So we have a typical rib here, and after the head we have a neck and tubercle, articular part, non-articular part, and after the tubercle, and after the tubercle we have a shaft or body. And what is the attachment of the shaft or body? Attachment of the shaft is number one, the trochilumbar fascia and the lateral fibers of the sacrospinalis muscle are attached to the angle. Do you remember where is it, the angle? Exactly, 5 centimeter lateral to the tubercle we had an angle. So trochilumbar fascia and sacrospinalis muscle attached to the angle. Medial to the angle, the levator costae and the sacrospinalis are attached. About 5 centimeters from the anterior end there is a indistinct oblique line known as the anterior angle. So we have a two angles, posterior angle and anterior angles. Anterior angle is about 5 centimeters from the anterior end, that is indistinct oblique line. So attachment to the anterior angle. What is the attachment to the anterior angle? Anterior angle separate the origins of the external abdominal oblique muscle from stratus anterior. In case of 5 to 8 ribs, So that is very important to keep in mind that where is the anterior angle and what is its attachment. In the anterior angle, there is a line that separates the origin of external abdominal oblique from the serratus anterior and latissimus dorsi. That's important. Anterior angle and posterior angle. So here is a posterior angle or typical angle, and 5 centimeter in the anterior end of the rib is anterior angle. The anterior angle also separates the origin of external oblique from that of latissimus dorsi in case of 9 and 10th ribs. Another point about the shaft is internal intercostal muscles that arise from the floor of the costal groove. Do you remember where is it, the costal groove? Yes, here is a costal groove. So the internal intercostal muscles arise from the floor of the costal groove, and the intercostal intercostal intimus arise from the middle 2/4 of the ridge above the groove. The subcostalis is attached to the inner surface of the lower ribs. I will show you the attachment of the shaft of the body and these muscles that I'm talking about, intercostal muscles, medial, lateral, and intima, and subcostalis, and etc. The external intercostal muscles here, as you can see here in this picture, we have 3 muscles here. We have ribs in the upper and ribs in lower. We have a intercostal space here that is equipped with intercostal muscles. That's named external intercostal muscles, internal intercostal muscles, and innermost or intima intercostal muscles. So as you can see here, both of ribs have costal groove that contains costal nerves and vessels. So external intercostal muscles, internal intercostal muscles, and innermost or intima is 3 of intercostal muscles that are located between 2 ribs, upper and lower ribs. The external intercostal muscles is attached on the outer lip of the upper border of a shaft of the rib, while the internal intercostal muscles and intercostalis intimi are attached on the inner lip of the upper border of a body. Do you remember the upper border of the rib? Yes, exactly. We had 2 lips, outer rib, outer and inner. As you can see here, outer lips is for attachment of external intercostal muscles, and inner lips is for attachment of intercostal, internal and innermost intercostal muscles. In the next section, I'm going to talk about ossification of a typical rib. So we learned a lot about a typical rib, about head of a typical rib, neck of a typical rib, and body or shaft of a typical rib, and attachments and ligaments and joints of a typical ribs with related structures. So how about ossification of a typical rib? A typical rib ossifies in cartilage forms. So the typical ribs has intrachondral ossification. And there is one primary center for the shaft, exactly. There is one primary center which appears near the angle at about the 8th week of intrauterine life. And the second center, 3